So, personal movements. First is the reassignment, the movement of an employee from one organizational unit to another in the same department or agency, which does not involve a reduction in rank, status, or salary. An example for that is teacher A is being assigned as science department head by principal. Therefore, this will be through memorandum from the principal only, and there will be no additional salary or ranking advancement. Next, we have the detail, the temporary movement of an employee from one department or agency to another office or agency and does not involve reduction in rank, status, or salary. Example is that teacher A is on sick leave without pay due to an accident. The principal will assign teacher B, the floating teacher, to take the class until a substitute teacher from the division office arrives. Therefore, there will be no additional salary or advancement or reduction of ranking. So, who is the floating teacher? The teacher who does ancillary activities without without advisory. Okay, so siya yung walang advisory, siya yung kadalasang tinatawag pag may absent na teacher, siya yung humahalil isang teacher. Okay, and substitute teacher, as Ma'am Ella said, she or he is the teacher appointed or assigned by the Department of Education or through the division office na mag-substitute sa nag-leave na teacher. Okay. Next, we have the secondment, the movement of an employee from one department or agency to another which temporary in nature and which may or may not require the issuance of an appointment, which involve an increase in compensation and benefits. Acceptance thereof is voluntary on the part of employees. So this is temporary and the maximum of this is until 2 years. Next is job rotation, the sequential or reciprocal movement of an employee from one office to another or from one division to another within the same agency as a means for developing and enhancing the potentials of people in an organization by exposing them to other work functions of the agency. And designation. It is merely an imposition to be performed by a public official with corresponding title or position, which is temporary and can be determined any time of the pleasure of the appointing authority. So, in designation naman, limited time din siya. As long as the official who appointed you is nandyan pa, nakaupo pa, nandyan ka rin. Unless tatanggalin ka niya. But, pag natapos na rin yung term ng taong nag-appoint sa'yo, more or less, tapos na rin yung iyong service. Or, unless yung susunod na termino ay i-appoint ka pa rin. Now, these are the rules in personal movement. Adjustment or movement of personnel which does not involve changes in position, title, rank, or status does not need the issuance of an appointment. Okay. So, pag position title ang nag-change, kailangan ng appointment. Pero kapag hindi naman, movement lang halimbawa nagpalit lang sila but still same status, same department, wala namang kailangang appointment. Okay, an appointment which issued in accordance with pertinent laws and rules shall take effect immediately upon its issuance by the appointing authority. And if the appointee has assumed the duties of the position, he shall be entitled to receive the salary at once, without awaiting the approval of his appointment by the CSC. The appointment shall remain effective until disapproved by the CSC. In no case shall on appointment take effect earlier than the date of its issuance. No appointment shall be made effective earlier than the date of issuance except in the case of change of status for having acquired a civil service eligibility or in case of a teacher having acquired a valid certificate of registration and valid professional license. The effect of the change of status should be the date of release of the result of the examination and or the date of issuance of appropriate licenses. However, change of status of appointment from temporary to permanent because of completion of the required education, training, and experience shall be effective upon presentation of the proof thereto and its corresponding endorsement from the appointing authority. The service is rendered by any person who was required to assume the duties and responsibilities of any position without an appointment having been issued by the appointing authority shall be credited and shall be the personal accountability of the official who made him assume office. No official or employee shall be required to assume duty without being furnished with a copy of his appointment after it is issued by the appointing authority. The appointee shall acknowledge receipt of the appointment by signing on the duplicate and other copies of the said copies or the said appointment. If the appointee does not assume office within 30 calendar days from the receipt of the approved appointment, the same may be cancelled by the appointing authority and reported to the Commission for record purposes. Renewal of temporary appointments require prior publication under Republic Act 7041 to avoid a gap in the services of the holder of temporary appointment where appointments are subject to the renewal. Publication should be made about 2 months prior to the expiration thereof. These are the prohibitions on appointments. Okay, so as you can see there, it talks about the prohibitions, all about prohibitions. No appointed official shall hold any other office or employment in the government unless otherwise allowed by law by the primary functions of his position. No elective official shall be eligible for appointment in any capacity to any public office or position during his tenure. No elective or appointed public officer or employee shall receive additional double or indirect compensation unless specifically authorized by law, nor accept without the consent of Congress any present emolument office of the title of any kind from any foreign government. A person who lost in the election, except barangay election, shall not be eligible for appointment or reappointment to any office in the government or government-owned or controlled corporation within 1 year following such election. An employee who files a certificate of candidacy even if later on is disqualified or withdrawn, is still considered resigned. An employee who has resigned from the government service during the 3-month period before any election to promote the candidacy of another shall not be reemployed during the 6-month period following such election. No detail or reassignment shall be made within 3 months before any election unless with the permission of the COMELEC. No officer or employee in the civil service, including members of the armed forces, shall engage directly or indirectly in any partisan political activity or take part in any election except to vote, nor shall be use his official authority or influence to coerce the political activity of any other person or body. No appointing shall be made in favor of a relative of the appointing authority or recommending authority or the date of bureau or office of the person exercising immediate supervision over the appointee. Excepted from this rule are persons employed in a confidential capacity, teachers, and physicians. No person has been dismissed or perpetually excluded or disqualified from the government service shall be appointed or employed unless he has been granted executive clemency. No person has reached the compulsory retirement age of 65 can be appointed to any position in the government. So, if you are already 65 years old, beyond that, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-serve as an government employee. As a government employee. No person appointed to a position in the non-career service shall perform duties properly belonging to any position in the career service. No consultant, contractual, or non-career employee shall be assigned to positions exercising control or supervision over regular and career personnel. The CSC may in meritorious cases extend the services of 1 month. One services of one who has reached the compulsory retirement age of 65. So, if you reach the age of 65, you can be extended 6 to 1 year. Okay, to complete the 15 years of service required under the GSIS law for you to have the benefits of GSIS after retirement, of course. Okay? Services rendered during the period of extension for those who shall complete the 15 years required under the GSIS law shall be credited a part of the government service. Otherwise, the same shall not be credited as government service for purposes of retirement. Officials and employees on service extension shall be entitled to salaries, allowances, and other remunerations that are normally considered part and parcel of an employee's compensation package. Okay, so whether extended ka para lang makuha yung 15 years of service na required sa GSIS law, lahat pa rin ng benefits, allowances, salaries ay dapat na makuha. Their entitlement to such salaries, allowance, and other remunerations shall be subject to existing regulations and the grant thereof. Such extension of service shall not entitle the employee to leave credits. Okay, so these are the guidelines on protest of employees. A qualified next in rank may file his protest with the CSC or its regional offices where the protested appointment was acted upon against such appointment made in favor of another if he is not satisfied with the written special reason or reasons given by the appointing authority for such appointment within 15 days from notice of issuance of an appointment. A protest shall not render an appointment ineffective, but the same shall be subject to the outcome of the protest. A protest may be withdrawn or anytime as a matter of right. The withdrawal of the protest shall terminate the protest case. A protest is deemed filed on the date shown by the postmark on the envelope in the case sent by registered mail and on the date stamped by the CSC or the Civil Service Regional Office in case of personal delivery. The head of department or agency shall forward his comments and the records of the case to the CSC or the Civil Service Regional Office within 10 days from the receipt of the copy of the protest. In case the protest is finally decided against the protesters, his appointment shall be disapproved and he shall be reverted to his former position. CSC eligibilities. Eligibility resulting from the civil service examination which require less than 4 years of college study shall be appropriate for appointment to the positions of the first level, and that examinations which require of at least 4 years in college shall be appropriate positions at the second level. The names of those who pass the bar or board examination shall be automatically entered in the corresponding register of eligibles under Republic Act Number 1080 without the need for issuance of certification. Eligibility shall also be granted automatically to honor graduates, subject to the provision of Presidential Decree Number 907 or as amended. Eligibilities resulting from civil service, bar, and board examination shall be effective on the date of the release of the results of the examinations. Eligibilities of employees. Of course, we have the LET or the licensure examination for teachers. Republic Act number 7836, otherwise the Philippine Professionalization of Teachers Act of 1994, provides that no person shall practice or offer to practice the teaching profession in the Philippines without a valid certificate of registration and a valid professional license from the Professional Regulation Commission. The professional license shall, unless the holder is exempted from the continuing professional education or CPE requirement, be renewed every other 3 years on the birth month of the professional teacher. And next, we have the superintendent eligibility. The CSC and the DepEd jointly conduct open competitive examinations for superintendents to establish a register of eligibles from which appointments to positions of school division superintendents and assistant schools division superintendent shall be made. An examiner should obtain a rating of at least 75% to be considered as a superintendent eligible. However, he can be certified for appointment only after he has successfully completed the required training conducted jointly by the DepEd and the CSC. Next, we have Career Executive Service (CES) eligibility. Passing the CES examination given by the Career Executive Service Board or CESB entitles the examinee to a conferment of a CES eligibility and the inclusion of his name in the roster of CES eligibles. And this is the stages of CES examination. The Management Aptitude Test Battery or MAT-B paper and pencil test, which measures managerial aptitude, assessment of managerial capability and competency, validation of managerial capabilities, and a final interview by a member of the CS board. An incumbent of a CS position may also qualify for the grant of the CS eligibility through the testimonial nomination process. The CSB, however, limits the grant of testimonial CS eligibility to highly qualified and top-performing individuals. Upon conferment of the CS eligibility and compliance with the requirement prescribed by the CSB, an incumbent of the CS position may qualify for appointment to a CS rank by the President upon the recommendation of the CSB. Eligible is applying SDS, ARD, or RD position, the applicant is required to pass the superintendent's examination before he or she can be assessed for managerial capability and competence. The appropriate CSO rank to which a CS eligible may be appointed depends on two major qualifications or criteria, namely level of managerial responsibility and performance. Teachers, however, shall also, next na tayo, policies of attendance and work hours. Teachers, however, shall render 6 working hours of actual teaching and spend the remaining 2 hours to complete the required 8 hours daily service in preparing lesson plans and instructional devices or rendering other non-teaching services. But in actual scenario, it is not only 8 hours for teachers. Actually, after the dismissal, is still all of those paperworks is brought home. Dinadala pa yan sa bahay para gawin at inaabot pa yan ng madaling araw. So, ganun talaga pag ikaw ay isang guro. All government officials and employees are required to render 8 working hours a day or 5 working days a week, or a total of 40 hours a week exclusive of time for lunch. The normal working hours of government officials and employees shall be 8 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Here in Quezon City, our official time before is 6 o'clock in the morning up to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. But now, sa school namin, because we are a small school, pinalitan na po yung schedule namin, which is 7 o'clock up to 2:30 in the afternoon. So ito na yung policies of attendance and work hours. The adoption of flexi time, shall be allowed in accordance with CSC MC number 14 series of 1989. Adoption of flexible working hours in the government service. All officers and employees except presidential appointees shall record their daily attendance on the proper form or whenever possible, have them registered on the Bundy clock. The record of attendance shall be kept in a conspicuous place in the custody of a responsible officer who shall monitor the arrival and departure of officials and employees. Time cards shall be placed on the rack all the time. Heads of offices shall be responsible for the attendance of their personnel. Okay, so that is all for appointment of employees. And this ends our report. Okay, back to you, Ma'am Ella.